Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, depending on what is your time zone. Today is the second and last day of our plenary talks. We have Patrick here. He'll go over the schedule for the day, and I'll kick it off with Lonis, our first guest. Patrick, to you.
Cool. Yeah. So thanks everybody for attending another day of SciCon.
So Lonis is the co-founder of Dework, a Web3 native project management platform that just recently raised $5 million in a seed funding round that was co-led by crypto investing giant Paradigm and early stage venture capital firm Base Capital. Before founding Dework, Lonis was also previously founded Depict AI, a Y Combinator-backed startup providing Amazon quality product recommendations for any e-commerce store. Lonis has been a DAO contributor for the past couple of years, and at the end of 2021, he launched Dework. That is a powerful solution for DAOs enabling token payments, credentialing, and bounties, with tasks for the community to complete. We've been using Dework personally at ResearchHub for the past 4 months, and I have to say it really changed the way we organize tasks, and it really helped getting our community more involved. So without further ado, I will leave the floor to Lonis. Thank you, Lonis, for being here today. How are you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm doing all good. I'm here in Paris, so I might be a bit out of shape, but otherwise it's all good.
Yeah, you're good.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's really good to be here. Way back when I still was in college, I wanted to become like an economist. But then I read up more and more about the kind of replication crisis, which kind of made me very unexcited about that. So I kind of dropped out and started companies instead. But yeah, I'm really excited to be here to kind of also hear about how you guys are solving the kind of replication crisis and more.
That's crazy. You've been, I think, the third or the fourth person in 2 days talking about the reproducibility crisis. Like, this is also what brought me into ResearchHub. So that's really cool. Again, really excited to see your workshop.
Awesome. Yeah. So as you mentioned, Dework is kind of the largest task and bounty platform for DAOs. So we raised recently from Paradigm and a few others. And I thought I would just go through a few of the boards that have been set up by DeSci DAOs to kind of give you a sense of how it can be used today, and then also kind of have some show a bit about how it could be used, but it's not currently used, and then also we'd be super happy to have any questions or comments or thoughts at the end. Yeah, so basically we have a bunch of things on Dework. We have about 20,000 created tasks and bounties in total in the last 6 months, and more than 11,000 signed up contributors. And so here on the landing page, you can kind of see a bunch of them. And if we look for ResearchHub, we of course find that here as well. And just to give you a sense of it, this is kind of the DAO level homepage. And they've kind of structured work in different kind of areas. And you can kind of see a leaderboard function if you want to see kind of who's been working on what, which can be very useful for kind of learning about the DAO. And you can also kind of see on this combined board all the things that have been worked on. So here's, for instance, one type of bounty where you can share an in-depth deep peer review, and you can kind of apply to kind of claim this task where you upload or find this paper and peer review it, and I really love this, like, personally, because most of the peer reviews usually are like completely anonymous, and it's not like easily accessible in the context of when you're reading a paper. So we definitely need more peer review. And the way you would do in your Dework is you can just apply and say, I want to do this thing. I'll have it done by the weekend. And I can say I've previously looked at similar research or whatever. And in this case, there's already a bounty of 10,000 ResearchHub coins. You can also say that you think you'll do this for 12,000, let's say. So you can kind of bargain if you wish to, or if there's not a bounty already. So this kind of create a more efficient market, a more two-sided market. So it's not only the supply side setting prices, but you can kind of both sides can set the prices. So I can just apply to this, And then, so that's one kind of bounty. You can also run and then if I'm lucky enough, they will accept me, and then I can do this bounty and get paid at the end. And there's also other kinds of bounty types on Dework. So you can run contests where basically anyone can just come and submit a peer review and get paid without any application, and get paid based on the quality. That's another one. And the third one, which I think is very unique to Dework actually, being completely biased, but still, is that you can gate bounties by roles. So what you basically can do is you can create a task like share Fitbit data with us, like a data collection bounty or whatever, and you can basically gate permissions to it. So you can run contests, you can have applications, and you can also have it gated by Discord roles. So what it basically enables you to do is you can have a kind of research. You can have roles for kind of how much you trust a particular person in your community, and allow those people to, let's see here, to claim roles based on their. All right, okay, I show so this Discord server didn't have any roles. Here we go. So you can imagine having like a researcher level 2 role or a dev level 3 role. And then you can, if you have those kind of roles, then you will be able to just claim bounties without asking. So here it will work. I'll just connect to your server, your current server. Add that. And then you can say if you're a dev level 3 or you're a community level or you're a core team person, then we trust you that much, so you don't need to apply. You can just claim this bounty directly. So just to show that, here, the level 3 core team. Here, yeah. So now you kind of have this, and then let's say that when you add this, someone in your community wants to kind of make this thing like upload their data or whatever the task might be. So here we kind of open this space as a contributor, and here I can see that this task is gated by core team and dev level 3. So I can apply, but since I don't have these roles myself, I can still only apply. But let's add a new role, which is the dev level 1 role, which the person does have. So now when I add it, when I now refresh from this contributor view, you'll see that I won't need to apply. I can just claim it here. So I'm no longer need to say I'm interested in applying to it. I can just claim it. And now I'm the kind of owner of the task. And that can be really beneficial to kind of allow for bottom-up kind of work structures in this kind of, in research DAOs, for instance, where you don't want to kind of create an overhead of having people apply for things, apply for a bounty, or run contests where there will be double work. But rather kind of have very specific roles that maybe even ones you currently have in your server, or you might expand those, and then you'll be able to use those effectively to kind of have these bottom-up structures. I have a few things more to show, but I just want to pause here to see if there are any kind of questions or comments on that, and then I'll continue after that.
Yeah, I have a question actually, Lonis. So say, you know, maybe somebody completes a task, but they complete it partially, you know, and it's maybe not sufficient to get paid out for the full task. Do you ever come across instances like this, and like what's the best solution you believe to give partial payment for what they've done or something like that? Yeah,
that's a great question. So the way I'm thinking about this, if it was done in like good or bad faith, kind of, if it's done in bad faith, it's just like not well done. It wasn't at all according to specifications or whatever. Then I usually just remove them from the task and just put it into do. in the future, we'll have some decentralized trustless way of doing this using Claros, for instance. When we'll have like an ESCO as well that we're working on, that would be connected to Claros. But yeah, if it's in bad faith, then I'm just I just remove their role if they had a role, or if they applied, then I just remove them from the task. If it's done in good faith, but it's not done good enough, or maybe gone all the way, but they've really tried, I tend to pay a partial amount of that. Yeah, so that's one kind of bounty structure. Let's look a bit more at how it can be done. Here we see that, for instance, ResearchHub have completed a bunch of kind of competitions and stuff. So this can be kind of a really useful way of like creating common knowledge around what is kind of being done in the DAO. And one of the things we kind of worked on to like help with creating this common knowledge is that we have we recently shipped roadmaps. So you can say that you can create these projects with like timelines, and you can very easily see them in this overview here, which can be really useful for like contributors, new contributors, but also potentially investors. So we have a bunch of investors we talked with that are their associates are using Dework to kind of get a sense of how different DAOs are doing. So this is one way to kind of do signaling basically. So you can do signaling on the DAO level through sorry. Oh yeah, you were only not muted. So you can do signaling on the DAO levels through roadmaps, through kind of all the things you've kind of completed as a DAO. But then you of course also can do signaling on the personal level. Right, this is taking a while because we're loading thousands of tasks here. But you can also do signaling on a personal level. So for instance, this is kind of how a profile could look like of a person using Dework, where you'll be able to see all the tasks that person have completed, any bounties, reviews as well if applicable, so you can 5-star. And then you also have more soft measures of reputation, like the Discord roles you have in a different service you're part of. So here we can see that Wafers in this case is a top level contributor in KidDAO. So that's kind of one way to kind of help me build trust and kind of get to know that person more. Back to kind of just showing a few more DAOs. So we have ResearchHub. We also have I guess everyone in the listening in kind of are aware of the larger DAOs. So we have Lab DAO that are using Dework mostly for their tech tasks. So they sync with GitHub. And so we have this GitHub sync where we allow you to basically import all the GitHub issues you currently have open and sync them over to your Dework workspace and have them sync one-on-one. So the titles, descriptions, even the tags are synced to the issue. And if you kind of complete a Dework task, move it from to do to done or in review to done, then it closes the issue in GitHub. So everything just syncs nicely. So that's kind of one way to use Dework, doing that. And then I think the third. I searched for them earlier today. CureDAO at least have a space. I don't know if they've been removed. Yeah, okay, there we go. So also CureDAO have a Dework space. So they're really excited about the kind of complete the entire like DeSci community. So we're trying to work with the community as much as possible. I have a few more things to show, but I think it would maybe be more productive to have it a bit more interactive. So if there are questions, would be happy to kind of delve into that.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. I'm really into project management, let's say in real life. So it's something that I'm really interested in is A question I have is, how do you see, how different you see the role of the project manager when you compare that to a Web2 or kind of like traditional setting? Because I see some differences. Like, for example, in organizing this event, I found there was something peculiar about doing an event in like crypto or like Web3 space.
Yeah, it's a good question. So the way many kind of Scrum managers or yes, the way many product managers in Web2 kind of work is that they create the backlog, and then you kind of assign different people to different tasks based on their strength, and kind of how you basically resource allocate yourself, which can make sense. I don't think that's completely wrong, but that's one approach. What we see a lot of DAOs do is that they instead create these backlogs, these projects and bounties, but then it's kind of bottoms up who chooses to do what. So as a product manager, you can kind of gate stuff, so you just not some people that isn't qualified just claim stuff. But you can but yeah, you can kind of set the boundaries through the rules, but you don't really say that you should do this week. This more of a bottoms up structure. That's the way people are using Dework, at least.
Yeah, and also I think something maybe if you know already something that you would like to, let's say, borrow from the traditional project management aspects, and maybe you want to integrate that into Dework. I don't know if you want to share something about, I don't know, the roadmap or what you're looking into, for example, I don't know, splitting up costs or like let's say featuring more the calendar kind of like view, where you have that similar to a Gantt chart, where you can picture that in a way that is clear for organizations. Because I find like the board really to be useful, but something that I use a lot is also time-based project management tools that'll help me really a lot with keeping up with deadlines. Because it's something that I really find is different compared to a Web2 setting, is that in Web3 you talk with people across so many time zones. It's difficult sometimes to set deadlines and stay within those deadlines. It's kind of like a little bit more loose. So I don't know if you kind of like are thinking already about enabling that flexibility into your product, considering that that is probably a little different than traditional project management projects.
Yeah, it's a good comment. So the time aspect. So what you can do on Dework is you can have, for instance, due dates. So in this case, we see that there's a due date of 8th of July. So that's one way to incorporate, and then you can also set like our kind of, people have been talking about calendar, like our implementation of the calendar was the roadmap kind of, but that's on the product level and not on the task level, of course. So it might make sense to kind of enable that on the task about the level as well. Yeah, but yeah, I think there are like there's a bunch of good stuff you can borrow from traditional tools. We really like Linear, for instance. So we tend to borrow stuff from there. But yeah, where like Linear really breaks down is in this like marketplace dynamics and also in the kind of profile building parts. So one of the things we do kind of uniquely is that we actually put your resume on chain. So I showed you this kind of profile previously, which is your kind of Dework profile, but we're actually putting these like individual tasks and their metadata on chain. So we're basically minting sold bound NFTs. So ERC-721 non-transferable NFTs with the task metadata. So in this case, they like conveniently also shows up on your OpenSea account. So that's a kind of neat thing where even if you don't trust Dework, that Dework will be around in 20 years. Yeah, all the kind of verifiable your kind of work history will at least will continue to live on, basically.
That is incredibly interesting. I was thinking already about the soulbound tokens when you introduced the panel of what is your profile, because I think like if you could get some badges, let's say after some time that you're a contributor, and you can kind of have milestones that could in the first place kind of like help for people to gauge their impact in a community, and also help other people see, you know, how active you are. And then if you can bring that with you into other communities, so with, for example, soulbound tokens, we had a discussion on ResearchHub about soulbound tokens. I think it was, with you, Jeff, probably like a couple months ago. And they were really interesting concepts, especially for these things, you know, demonstrating reputation. That is something extremely important for DeSci as well. You know, the reputation is something that, you know, is critic for a lot of academics. So again, I see a lot of potential here on Dework to implement these things and go more toward the direction of soulbound tokens and kind of like reputation style when you contribute to other DAOs.
Yeah, and actually there's a question in the Q&A section. So this is from Timothy. And he's asking, could you talk about the business model of Dework? Does it charge a percentage from each bounty? Is it denominated in DAO's native token?
Yeah, it's a good question. So currently we're not focused on, in the short term, we're not focused on monetization. Mostly focusing on like building a great product. In the kind of medium to long term, there are a few ways we're thinking about monetization. Probably, at least the work in theory is that we won't charge a percentage of each bounty, but rather the way, for instance, but rather for kind of stuff, pro features. Like currently, it's a kind of one-sided marketplace in terms of that you as a contributor, you have to go to a bounty and apply to it or claim it. And you can suggest your own bounty and stuff. So there's some two-sidedness to it, but but supply side can't invite you. You have to kind of wait on contributors kind of come to you. So we're thinking about the feature where you can invite specific contributors based on their kind of profile, and then you might need to pay for inviting contributors to a bounty or to a project. So yeah, we're mostly thinking about monetization in those kind of ways.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, similar kind of ideas we're thinking about too in ResearchHub down the road. I think top priority is always, you know, build out, you know, a good quality, high quality product, you know, to have users enjoy their time there. I had like a brief question, and I think it stems from the fact that I think a lot of like our community is kind of a blend of kind of crypto native, Web3 kind of literate types of people. And then there's a lot of traditional scientific academics who are coming from the traditional world, and they're using kind of a platform that's very Web2 familiar, so they're used to it. But then when you sprinkle in kind of the idea of cryptocurrency or on-chain reputation or any on-chain metrics, even leveraging like a non-custodial wallet, I think these concepts are a little like abstract for them. And I was just wondering if you could maybe touch on in Dework, obviously you can take your non-custodial wallet, you connect that, and that becomes your account. And then, you know, you have things moving on chain. Can you maybe just talk about why it's so beneficial to use like a non-custodial wallet for something like Dework, as opposed to having, say, your Gmail link to it and then, you know, have everything through Gmail?
Yeah, it's a good question. So one of the really nice things with having a thing to kind of your Web3 to like a non-custodial wallet or just a web wallet versus Gmail is that interoperability becomes much easier. So for instance, we have this integration with, just to give you an example, we have this integration with another kind of large DAO tool called Coordinape. So Coordinape is a way to kind of attractively set bounties, let's say. And the way we could integrate was that we basically allow you to in Coordinape choose specific Dework organizations to connect to, and then we basically pull those Dework tasks from Dework to Coordinape and show that on your personal profile. So here in Coordinape, I can see that, okay, you completed these 3 Dework tasks in this time spent. So I know this when I allocate kind of money to you or points to you, which is what Coordinape does. And the way we could kind of connect users between Dework and Coordinape is through their wallets. So we can just do a simple lookup and say, these kind of 20 addresses, you have these 20 addresses in your Coordinape workspace, and you have these 50 in your 50 addresses in your Dework workspace, which ones of those match, and then then show the Dework tasks for those that match.
Yeah, and I'd say that's the biggest kind of way to sell the non-custodial wallet in Web3 is that you take you it's like the read write own. So you are now the owner of a lot of the tasks you've done and the work you've completed, and then there's just now all these platforms that are built as a layer on top of that, which just can pull from some of that information, as opposed to having all of your information siloed in this one organization, and then it's just stuck there and you have to restart over. Like you have a Twitter and it has all your Twitter stuff, but say there's a new social media platform, you can't port over any of that stuff.
Right.
And then there's another question in the Q&A box, which is Ethereum the only, and this is by Ivan Chung, is Ethereum the only supported network in Dework? Any plans on expanding beyond that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So currently we support all EVM chains plus Solana and also Stacks wallet on Bitcoin. The Stacks blockchain. Through the Hero wallet. And in the future we might support even more chains, but we're covering at least most of them currently.
Also, I have another question. It's not really a question; it's more like a suggestion, but it's something that just came up with this event. Is something that would be really useful. Maybe it's not like a top priority, but if you could include something like, I want to give a bonus based on a specific task, because someone performed really, really well. It's like if it could be like a toggle, be like, hey, can give 10%, 15% bonus to this person. This is something that I don't know. Maybe you had it already in your mind, but if you don't, maybe it's something that I don't know you may consider.
Yeah, it's a really good question. So that's in the interesting category of something we've launched, but we haven't announced yet. In your settings, you can go to permissions and then say manage retroactive bounties. So you can retroactively add extra bounties to kind of tip or just say a word for extra good work. So if I add myself here and then refresh, you can see that you can create this retroactive bounties sessions. So you can say I want to include all bounties from 2 weeks ago until today. I'll pay in ETH and I'll pay. I'll distribute 100 ETH, and then you kind of have this session created. Let's see. My internet is probably a bit weird. All right, it's clearly a bug. But usually it works. So there are already a bunch of us using it. The short version is that it basically allows you to retroactively set bounties and to do what you mentioned.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you, Lonis. That was really great. And again, I can only say that has helped a lot in these past couple of months organizing people around. So first of all, thank you very much for coming here today and talking about Dework.
Yeah, thanks for having me.